Midweek insights on a Wednesday. Matt Noyes, the deeper dive into meteorology right out of the gate. If you want to see any of the real-time updating maps that pertain to the brush fires and fire spread potential having to do with wind, also air quality, if you want to check in on that, we're updating the maps every 15 minutes. So basically in real time, and you'll find that on our live stream. To get there, it's livestream.1degreeoutside.com, livestream.1degreeoutside.com. Or if you're on the app, you can link to that right at the bottom of the home screen of the app. You'll see the link to the live stream. It's out on Twitch. It's out on YouTube as well, on our YouTube channel, the number 1 degree outside. So again, real-time conditions that pertain to fire spread and smoke spread there. All right, why does wind vary by neighborhood? I'm going to answer that question here in a moment. Details on Halloween for you and new weekend air that's going to be coming in as well. Let's start out with the wind aspect of things here. As we get to the overnight tonight, the winds aren't looking as strong as they initially were, which is great. They'll be out of the south-southwest. Gusts will probably generally be to 15 miles an hour, but do you see the huge variance from one spot to another? That's really important to note. You see, any wind fans the flames, okay? But elevation can impact wind, where the hills sometimes get more wind than the valleys. The other thing is you get these local terrain impacts where sometimes a hill may block the wind in spots from getting in. Or what's really interesting, and what happened last night, for example, we ended up with a maximum gust was 8 miles an hour in Methuen, 15 miles an hour at Andover, 31 miles an hour at Rockport, 25 miles per hour at Beverly. What happens there, right? A lot of times the valleys, especially on a night like last night, they hold the cooler air. And that cool air is dense. You know how warm air rises, right? So cool air is dense, and that kind of blocks you from the wind a little bit. It may be blowing above that cool air. So there is definitely difference from one part of town even to another. And with some of these fires, from one part of the fire to another, you even see a difference in wind. A dry wind is always worse. We don't have a dry wind blowing in today. And you know what? Even tomorrow, it's not that dry of a wind. It comes out of the south-southwest. Relative humidity is up a bit compared to where it's been lately. Notice the gusts on Halloween afternoon, about 15 miles per hour. Then as we get into Halloween night, it stays somewhat breezy. This is midnight Halloween night. You still have that variance locally that you see. Friday, the concern is this, is a cold front coming in. So it'll be breezy out of the southwest in the morning. Once the cold front comes in, the wind comes out of the west and then northwest late. And notice the wind speed. The gusts really start to kick up on Friday. That's going to be our greatest danger for fire spread, which I'll show you here in just a minute. Last 24 hours, it rained here at home, which is good, but it didn't rain much. Not enough to make a huge difference. We'll take what we can get. It was only about 0.2 of an inch of rain in a lot of southern New England. Northern New England did a little bit better. It seems every time northern New England does a little bit better, and that's why your fire danger hasn't been quite as high as it has been across the southern half of the six-state region. Here comes a cold front that's going to put the end to the warmth, but first you get the warmth, and that's going to be really near 80 degrees on Halloween day, 70s, and there's the 80s in the deeper orange. A lot of the eastern U.S. is into this. When the front comes through, it comes through almost totally dry. There may be an isolated shower with it, and it opens the door to another installment of cool, dry air. So in terms of fire spread conditions, I've got that for you here. The green shows very slow fire spread, and that probably is where we're at during the course of today and tomorrow for that matter as well. The bigger concern comes on Friday, and of all spots in New England, who ends up with one of the greater fire spread concerns? Well, right around Middleton, where some of that fire has been being battled, but you can see Essex County in particular gets a steady fire spread potential as we head into Friday afternoon, and that's because of that drier wind that comes in behind the cold front as it blasts on by. In terms of the weather for everybody else, look, bottom line is Thursday is going to set records in spots as the records are either side of 80 and our highs come to either side of 80. Friday, it really is an isolated shower in the morning to midday as the cold front comes by, and then we open the door to what is that fair, dry weather as we get to the upcoming weekend. It is great for outdoor plans this weekend. It is just still concerning with regard to the brush fire aspect. Halloween, if you want to plan it out from morning till the end of the day, maybe the kids are doing the costumes at school. Every school is different, but nonetheless, there'll be some patchy fog in the morning as we get to the midday and the afternoon. Temperatures come up near 80. Again, breezy, but not exceptionally windy. And even by the evening, trick-or-treat time, it's still 70 or 72 degrees. Here we are town by town, or at least close to your hometown. You can find where you're going to be 80 degrees, the expectation in Boston. And again, for a lot of spots, we are tickling with records here. You get into Thursday night, it's still mild. Temperatures are running in the 60s for many as lows. You already saw that you're right around or just over 70 at trick-or-treat time. Friday is still holding on to the mild air for a little while. That cold front comes through by midday, starts to bring in that new wind that's going to kick, as we looked at, sustained at 14. The gusts I showed you already going over 30. Saturday, the wind comes out of the north, gets a little bit lighter. It's a fresh breeze. It's going to be temperatures running in the 50s. And by the time we get to Sunday, likely to be in the 50s with increasing clouds. There is a chance that we get some showers in here on Monday into the very first part of Tuesday. That higher chance Tuesday really only for the early morning. But I'll tell you right now, it looks like another one of these 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rain. Better than nothing, but not a lot to make a significant difference. And after that, there really is not a big chance of rain. You got an increased chance maybe next Saturday, but even that's only 30%. You can watch all the data for yourself as it comes in. And again, get that link to the live stream for the live brush fire danger if you need it. And you do that with our app. Noyes is 1 degree outside weather on the App Store and Google Play. Thanks for checking in. As always, look forward to seeing you with Evening Essentials or updates as needed. We did a special update yesterday on the brush fires when the smoke was filling the air for so many folks. Always updating you at 1degreeoutside.com and on the app.